Hmm. Which one? Which one gets the look of approval today? The Wilson Combat SIG? Nice, but not today. Agency Arms Glock 19? No, I don't think so. The SIG Fastback Nightmare? Tempting. Very tempting. Coming soon. Nope. Today we are going with the big dog. This, my friends, is the Desert Eagle 50AE in cold case hardened steel. Let's check it out. Although I do have to say, as I'm putting these away, that if the end of the world happened tomorrow, I'd be pretty much good to go. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. If you like it, maybe hit the like down there at the bottom of the screen. Maybe get subscribed so you can see when I do other videos like this. Go ahead and check out Liberty Arms on the interwebs. You can just Google it, Liberty Arms in Harrisonburg, Virginia. If I link to them in the video, instant demonetization, you'll never see the video. So Google it, check it out, check us out, buy some stuff, and then they'll let me keep borrowing stuff like this. Before we get going, let's go ahead and safety check it. This actually is a two-handed operation for me because of my nerve damage. Whew, that is hard to maneuver. Needs to be because it's dual springs, which we'll be checking out. But as you can see, nothing in there. This is a bolt, not a standard firearm as you know it. Nothing in it. So we can go ahead and put the slide back and we can, nope, doesn't decock. Make sure it is safe. We're going to go ahead and set this down really quickly and take a look at the box. Magnum Research is the manufacturer of this firearm. We looked at their 1911 before. This is what actually is their name, their bread and butter, the Desert Eagle, the gun that's in every video game and is, you know, 7 shots and uncontrollable, but more fun than jumping on the bed when you're told not to. It is a lockable case, but it is not airline approved because you can still get to the firearm while it's in there. Paperwork from the transfer, you do get a gun sock. Not all the older Desert Eagle stuff got gun socks, but this one comes with the gun sock. And they put in this because some people will be like, oh man, where's all my stuff? Well, you know what, lock and manual under the foam insert. So, da-dink, right there. Nice soft foam in there, fits the gun perfectly, and it's a box. Don't know what else to tell you. At least it's not super overly extravagant, excuse me, wood and gold and all that junk, which would have raised the price of the firearm more than it already is. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. This gun is $2,000, plus or minus. You know how the internet is, especially all you commenters. This gun will run you about $2 grand. You can get a base Desert Eagle 50AE in the 16-ish range, but if you want one that's customized or done with special finishes like this one, you're going to pay a little bit extra. Cold case hardening, excuse me, is not easy to do, and quite honestly, it also doesn't last as long as people think. So this gun will have to be cleaned regularly, and it can't be shot too much because the finish can actually come off through continued use of the firearm. Standard magazine. 7-rounder, 50AE, nothing to really write home about there. It does have these tags on it, and I'm not taking it off because it's the owner's job to do it, and this is a pre-sold unit. They are out of Pillager, Minnesota, which is actually not their original location. It is a little bit closer to the Twin Cities than it used to be. It's basically a request from the manufacturer that you RTFM before you use the firearm. Taking a look at the pistol, it is pretty damn awesome. It's got a golden trigger, blacked out hammer, which I actually appreciate. It's very heavy. I posted on Instagram a picture of me holding it out at arm's length, and you can actually see me straining to hold it. Probably because I have nerve damage, but I blame it on the gun because this thing weighs a hell of a lot. That's a scientific unit of measurement, by the way, a hell of a lot. It needs to be because it has a lot of metal to contain the pressure from the 50AE. It's a 50 caliber bullet. It is going super duper fast, and it is very, very large. I don't have one here. I forgot to ask him to bring me one. So one of the most notable designs of the Desert Eagle is the fact that this is actually fixed to the frame during normal operations, and it's actually the rear of the slide that works. This is actually a bolt system. It is not a regular recoil system. So I'm going to lock it back and we'll take a closer look. It's not a gun, it's a moon. Yeah, this really brings my nerve damage into the forefront, because I'm very weak when it comes to trying to rack this slide. It's kind of funny, actually. But as you can see, it has a bolt, much like a rifle does, or an AR-15. And what happens is, when it cycles, the bolt rotates, ejects the shell, loads the next one in, rotates back, and locks up inside the barrel. That is pretty beefy, pretty substantial. And it needs to be, because that's the bullet hole. That's my pinky. Yes, that's a heck of a round coming out of that bad boy. And the good news about the Desert Eagle pistol is that the barrel, because it is not part of this, it's not part of an integrated slide, it's not all one piece, you can actually change out the barrel for different calibers. Now, I'm not sure if you can just order a cold case hardened steel 44 Magnum or their new 429 barrel, but if you can, those would drop right in, and then you would have extra calibers for your firearm. In fact, they sell a kit where you can buy, it's a black one, it's your basic one, but you can get the 50 AE and the 44 Magnum together. This massive bad boy is heavy. Saying that, the trigger is a hell of a lot lighter than I would expect for a gun of this size. Single action only, so when you pull the trigger, boom, you're done. I don't have a Lyman trigger gauge here. I'd probably say it's on the 6.5 to 7 pound range, but it's a very smooth trigger. Even the reset is smooth. Right there, it just kind of comes out. It's audible, but you don't really feel it through the trigger, but it goes right back in, comes right back to the wall, and breaks again. So that's deceptive. I've fired a few guns that were powerful that had really light trigger, like my buddy's SP-101 with the 357 rounds in it. Holy cow, wasn't ready for the single action trigger in that, and boom. So be prepared. This is a very light trigger in a very heavy gun, so your first instinct is going to be to slap that trigger. You don't want to do that. Does have ambidextrous manual safeties. Does not have an ambidextrous slide lock or mag release. That is okay though, because I mean, yeah, if you get 7 rounds off and you need to reload and the guy is still moving, something's wrong, or he was not meant to go down. It has a flat front face to the trigger guard, which is nice. No rail on the bottom, because the rail is actually on the top. I'm going to do something very silly here, so bear with me for a second. Now, this is the magnifier off of my AR-15 pistol, and I'm not going to lock it down because I don't want to scratch the finish, but this is actually how you are supposed to mount an optic onto the top of the Desert Eagle. Because the barrel doesn't move, and the slide does, the optic is perfectly stable when it's on top of the barrel like this. Obviously, a red dot or a reflex sight would be preferred to a magnifier, but you could do it. Field stripping this thing is not all that difficult. Let's go ahead and safety check it again. As you can see, clearly nothing in it. You can see straight through it, nothing in it. So we can go ahead and do that. Go ahead and make sure that the hammer is in the down position. Like that. You want to bring it back 1 click. That is the semi-cocked. It's still a dead trigger, but it's called semi-cocked. What you want to do now is push on this side while rotating this lever down. And you see what it did there? It popped the barrel off. What you need to do then is bring the barrel back so that it lines up with those notches so that you can actually remove it. I actually find pulling the hammer all the way back makes it easier, because then the slide doesn't try to force its way forward. But once you do, you can just take the barrel out. Once you do that, you can then bring the slide the rest of the way forward. Be careful though, because the dual recoil springs are going to want to fall out. Hold them up while you're taking the slide off and flip it upside down. So that is the dual recoil spring setup for the Desert Eagle, but you'll notice there's a tab there. That's why you wanted to hold it in place, because it's actually locked into place in the bottom of the slide right there. Taking a closer look at the barrel, you can see how much material actually locks into the slide on this thing. All of this and this locks up inside the gun in here in order to make sure that this barrel stays stable. And you can see how big those lugs are for when the bolt comes forward and locks in. It's pretty cool. And of course it's fully case hardened, so you're not painted on, it's not a dip, it's nothing like that. The second half of the top, or where the piston is again fully case hardened, except for a couple of pieces that are inserted afterwards, of course, and is finished extremely well. The frame of the firearm, again, very nicely finished. Inside, you can actually see some machining marks on this face, which I honestly wasn't expecting. But it's an area of the gun you're never going to see, so I can forgive it a little bit, and it's smooth in its operation for both this assembly and the operating of the slide. This is one of those cases where I would not mess with the frame rails because there's no real coating. It's a heat treatment that puts this finish on the slides, so I would not, or the rails, pardon me, so I would not mess with it. Very simple mechanism. Trigger comes back, releases a sear, hammer goes forward. And you can just see how big that thing is. That son of a gun is just massive. But with those 4 parts, you are field stripped. And reassembly is very easy. Go ahead and flip your gun over, take your guide rod, you're gonna set it in there. I just realized something as I was putting it back in. It's actually a 5-piece. This actually does come out when you pull the recoil spring out. I think it's just there to help hold the recoil springs in place, from what I can tell. So you need to make sure that it's in the right position, which is basically just right there, so that it's flat on the bottom. Set your recoil springs back in, and then you're going to turn it 90 degrees, and it will lock that piece into the front of the slide, because that's actually what's going to catch the front of the barrel. Here's the next step. Once you've put the piston portion on top of the pistol, you're going to take your barrel, you're going to make sure that the lugs fit in there. You can see how it's kind of a T. Set it down gently, make sure that the piston lines up. Once you do that, you're going to pull the barrel back until it's flush with the front of the slide. You're then going to flip that tab back up. That is it. Reassembly is pretty damn easy. So, what do I think of this gun? Well, it's an insane firearm. It's a gun that I probably will never own myself just because of its pure cost, unless one walked in and I could get it for a steal. It is a beautiful pistol. I can't wait to shoot one. Just waiting for one to come in used at Liberty Arms. Again, Google them, check them out. Now, what you guys can do to help me out in that respect is hit that like button, watch the ads, get subscribed, maybe use my Amazon affiliate links, and when you do that, then I get to earn a couple of pennies, which I can put towards buying things for the channel, which I've done over the last few months, basically computer hardware, because I've been needing to upgrade a few of my computer components, and I've done that now. I'd like to start picking up firearms again, especially now that the ranges are getting ready to be opened again, and then we can take some of these out and shoot them, especially some of the used pieces, like other guns you're going to see coming up here in the coming weeks. That's it. I'm going to get out of here. I have 5 more pistols to film tonight, and then I'm going to go to bed. So, yeah. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Any comments, leave those in the questions below. Use those links. Help the channel grow. We're almost at 2,700 subscribers. I'd like to keep seeing that go up, and then I can keep getting my hands on stuff like this. And, as always, I'll talk to you later.